Be very interesting to see how Sarah Madeleine runs here. And as you see, Marwa Buzayani will be a big threat as well here. Her PB is only, I say, 15:29, but of course, she's very, very good for many international class athletes, 15:29, but you suspect that Buzayani can run significantly quicker. There is Madeleine, Sarah Madeleine, coached by Bastien Perrault. She's in the on-running kit. On-running, doing a lot of investment in the distance running world, especially in recent years. They have an Australian group, they have a European group, they have an American group. Many of the world's best are in on kit these days, and they're now diversifying into sprints as well. But in this particular race, those colours of on, that lime green, or is it yellow? Not sure. But either way, there is Sarah Madeleine, the big home hero. There is Marwa Buzayani. This is a serious operator, is Buzayani, in the steeplechase, 4th in the world final last year, just a couple of seconds off a global medal, a national record of 9:01. Buzayani ran. I'll tell you a little bit more about this field as the race progresses. We'll have 25 laps to get them all sorted out, but Madeleine is the quickest in the race. There she is on personal best. Buzayani right beside her there, of Tunisia, the 28-year-old. Madeleine, 27. They're both highly accomplished. Madeleine, a world finalist over 1,500 metres last year. Is obviously doing a bit of strength work here. Early season, as you see, Madeleine there just slots into 5th place. Buzayani, it's right in her slipstream then as well. You'd expect those perhaps to be the big two, but look out too for Alamnet Wale of Ethiopia, the 19-year-old. I think she's just slotted into 6th position there as we look at them. But Wale is also a very accomplished steeplechaser. Her 5 kilometre PB is actually on the road. No, I think it's on the track actually, but it's 16:11. But trust me, Wale with a 9:06 steeplechase to her name, which is truly, truly world class. Operating, Wale can run significantly faster than 16:11 if you can run a 9:06 steeplechase. We won't get too deep into the numbers for now. Early days, pacemaker doing a good job here, just towing them through 400 metres. And we'll see what kind of pace they're on for. Remember, 72 seconds for every 400, or 36 per lap indoors, works out to 15 minutes. So that's just about spot on there. I think this is indeed a 15-minute pace that has been laid down, those pace lights, which certainly make things a heck of a lot easier for pacemakers these days. Much harder to get it wrong, but you can see the pacer there is just slotting on the front of those blue lights, and then the field, those green lights are what the time is set for. They do allow a few meters, of course. So far it looks like it's going to be about 36 seconds a lap, and as I mentioned, that converts to 15-minute pace, so they'll be looking for 1:48 or so here. They're going to maybe be just under it, but as you see there, another 36-second lap there, and they're just settling into the pace right now, and it is a very healthy pace. Other ones to look out for here, Alice Chemtai, she'll certainly have a big say in this as well. She's just slotted in to 3rd place there at the moment, but Chemtai, also known as Chemtai Lotesia, she is an up-and-coming Kenyan talent. Just 20 years old, but she's turned in some fine performances already this year. 30:38 she ran. Big 10 kilometre PB on the roads in Valencia just 2 weeks ago. Chemtai, hugely impressive performance. Of course, it's just become so commonplace these days for athletes to, numbers of women running 30 to 31 minutes for 10k and numbers of men running in the 28-minute range is just remarkable. Many aspects to it, of course, but the game has very much changed and the standards have risen as we see them passing the 1 kilometre mark here. Bang on pace, great job by the pacers. 2:59.82. I know it is a little bit easier when you have those pace lights, but is something you can easily get wrong as well. She's done a brilliant job there out front. And there's just a little bit of a gap opening here. Chemtai Loitesia will just be well advised to sort of just lift that pace just a little, just to make sure that these athletes can stay on this pace and benefit from the pacemakers. As they pass, it's 1200 meters there, and then there's our second pacemaker now out in front, and we'll see if they can keep this going. But it is what we would call the big four lining up in behind, just running alongside those green lights. That is Alice Chemtai Lotasia of Kenya, followed closely by Sarah Madeleine of France. Right behind her it is Marwa Bouziani of Tunisia. And then at the back of that pack for now, Alimnat Wale of Ethiopia, the 19-year-old, a rising star, a 9:06 steeplechase she ran last year. She was unable to finish, unfortunately, in the heats in Tokyo. What a fine addition it was as we go back to the 5,000 meters, where the pace is still strong. And once again, I would suggest to Chemtai Lotesia there in second at the moment, and maybe just close up that gap, but it won't make a difference now as they pass through there. 6:38 on the clock. So as I mentioned, 2,200 meters, so they're on just outside 15-minute pace. Would have been 6:36 there, would have been 15-minute pace exactly, and this is where things really start to get tough for these athletes. And Chemtai is applying plenty of pressure there out front, and right now it really is a dream run for Sarah Madeleine, for Marwa Bouziani, and for Elimnat Wale, back in fourth at the moment because they're just able to sit in and coast completely. As we see there, Chemtai just picked it up just a little there. The averages had slipped outside 36 seconds, but she brought it back to a 35 there. She is hunting those pace lights, and this is what this race needs. This is what these women need if they are to get well under that 15-minute barrier. And I'm sure there'll be lots of indoor PBs, maybe outright PBs for these ladies. As I mentioned, Wale's best on paper, at least what I could find, was 16:11 only. Bouziani 15:29. She's on course to smash that. Sarah Madeleine unlikely to smash her personal best or break it at 14:48, but that's because it really is in the world-class realm. Alice Chemtai has run 15:09 as her best on the roads for Chemtai. The track just 16:29, but of course she's going to obliterate that, and I'm sure we'll have her eyes on a first sub 15-minute clocking at the meeting indoor de Lyon. But Chemtai churning out the pace out front, and Sarah Madeleine, doesn't she look comfortable in second? She's sitting quietly there, just striding along very nicely. Took a quick look around there. I think she could feel Bouziani perhaps just chopping at her heels. It is tight on indoor tracks, even in a 5k when they have a chance to space out, but you can see the athletes there are almost overlapping. They're getting as close as they can be to each other. Their heels are very nearly hitting the athlete behind. And of course, if anyone who's run indoor track will know, when you try to run outside someone on the bend, there's sort of a natural effect where you kind of get pushed into them. Gravity pulls you down, so there's always plenty of elbows when it comes to indoor track running. Sometimes even in 5k we'll see, I'm sure, see plenty of them in the 400 metres and 800 metres later on. But for now it's all about the 5k, and they've gone through 3 kilometres just outside 9 minutes there, so the 15-minute dream is very much still alive. But you have to say that those pace lights are starting to get away from this quartet. A reminder, it is Alice Chemtai Lotasia out front, the Kenyan, and it is the home hero, Sarah Madeleine of France, in second right now. Back in third from Tunisia, it is Marwa Bouziani, and then in fourth from Ethiopia, Alimnat Wale, the teenager. So these four are clear, but the pace is starting to slip a little. And now Madeleine, I think, senses that and said, right, enough is enough, time to push this on harder. And you see some athletes just stepping away there, but Sarah Madeleine looks to be strong, looks to be in good form. And she certainly started this year well with that silver medal for France in the mixed relay. The mixed 4x1500 metres or so, I think it was, roughly. Over at the World Cross Country in Tallahassee just 2 weeks ago. And Madeleine now is applying plenty of pressure here. She had a very easy ride to halfway. She just sat in, conserved as much energy as she could, but she sensed, I'm sure, and could see often athletes, especially in the longer the race, they will have a good look at those splits as they're passing the finish line. And they will be very aware, not just from the pace lights, of where they need to be. And I think Sarah Madeleine was very aware that Alice Chemtai-Lotesia was not quite keeping the pace up where it needed to be to get sub 15, so they're going to have to close quite hard here to bring it back under the 15-minute barrier. But it's still very much alive. They're not too far off it at all. And I think a key sign here is that we have three very good athletes starting to break clear now, who are racing each other. And as they start to kick it in, this can obviously work the other way as well in terms of the search for fast times, because no one wants to be the one doing the work. But at the moment, Sarah Madeleine looks to be the willing donor to the pace, shall we say, as they come through. We'll get the 4K split after one more lap, but I think it's going to be about 5, 6, 7 seconds outside the 15-minute pace. But that is certainly ground you can make up and time you can make up with a strong closing kilometre, and these women certainly know how to close. As I mentioned, Sarah Madeleine is currently out front, just starting to lap athletes there, but Madeleine, as I mentioned, the world finalist over 1500 metres last year, and the way the 1500 has gone, of course, you really need immense 5k strength. That is the 4 kilometre split, 12:06 on the clock. So they'll need a 2:53 if they're to get under 15 minutes. That looks a big ask, but I think Marwa Bouziani has come exactly for that purpose, a sub 15 minute clocking. The Tunisian star, 15:29 her best. That was run in June of 2024. But Bouziani, of course, has gone on to bigger and better things since then. She's an Olympian in Tokyo and in Paris. But of course, the run of her life was last September at the World Championships in Tokyo. 9:01 national record to finish 4th. Outstanding run. And we see now that Bouziani is getting some help. Well, in terms of the pace setting anyway, but she may well be getting dropped quite soon by Sarah Madeleine, because after Bouziani picked up the pace, Madeleine almost just took a lap off and just tried to recharge a little in her slipstream, and then she has returned to the front and has lifted the pace again. So they're coming through here with 3 laps to go. 13:18 on the clock. So I think it's going to be just outside 15 minutes unless we see a monster close from these ladies, but it's still possible. And Elamnat Wale has been sitting very quietly there in the slipstream. She's done no pace setting, but she is still there with 500 metres to run. But here comes Marwa Bouziani yet again. Bouziani to the front. It's tit for tat up front between Madeleine and Bouziani. And which of these is going to be the strongest? 2 laps to run. They could still get under the 15 minutes here. They'll need about a 65 final 400 metres, but they would be kicking in hard. And as we know, these are 2 women who can close very fast on the track. Both world finalists last year. Madeleine 8th in the 1500 metres. Bouziani 4th in the steeplechase. Who's going to have the goods on the last lap burn up here? And will they get under 15 minutes, which will be brilliant running for January for these women. But it is Bouziani who leads with about 2:50 to run. But here comes the home hero, Sarah Madeleine, to the lead. And she looks strong, doesn't she? 14:31 on the clock. She'll need a massive last lap to break 15. It's not out of the realms of possibility, but I don't think she's going to have that much left. It's going to be very close to 15 minutes. But Sarah Madeleine is putting on a display here. And she is beating a very good athlete here to start her year in very impressive fashion. It was a medal for France in the relay at the World Cross Country. Now she's going to be very close to 15 minutes here. She celebrates early up the home straight, sends the love to the crowd, and it's coming right back. Sarah Madeleine across the line in about 15:03 takes victory at the meeting de Lyon. It is Marwa Bouziani back in second, about 3 seconds behind. I think the finishing beam didn't quite catch Sarah Madeleine. She was running so fast across it. But she gives a congratulatory hug to Bouziani, who also helped her there to a swift pace. A bit of work up front as well alongside Sarah Madeleine, but Madeleine, of course, did the lion's share over the latter half after the pacer stepped aside, and she looks very fresh. That is an impressive first track race of 2026, and she is loving life. I'm sure her coach, Bastien Perrault, will be quite pleased about that. And it is indeed a national record for France. What a performance that is from Sarah Madeleine. And she has great reason to be delighted with that. It was perfectly teed up for her, and she delivered in fine style. It looked for a while victory might go elsewhere, but Sarah Madeleine has broken the French record. With a stunning performance. The wave lights, I'm sure, will have helped keeping that 15-minute tempo steady, and you could sense the pace had slipped just a little at one point. But Sarah Madeleine has taken a massive chunk off the French record. I believe the list I'm looking at is that it was over a decade old to Liv Westphal, 1531. Of course, there's not too many 5,000 metres races run indoors, but that is a brilliant way to start the elite programme. Sarah Madeleine with a French indoor record. I'm sure she'll have her eyes as well on the outdoor record later on this year. She's not too far off it. Her 14:48 is only about 5 seconds outside the French 5k record. But Sarah Madeleine with a superb performance there. We'll get confirmation of that full result. I'm sure there'll be plenty PBs. And look at that 3 national records further behind for Veerle Bakker of the Netherlands, for Valentina Gemetto of Italy, and Vera Bertenes Hoffmann of Luxembourg. 5th, 6th and 7th, all national records. Big personal bests as well in 2nd, 3rd and 4th for Marwa Bouziani, Elena Wala, and Alice Chemchai. But the star of the show is this woman so far, Sarah Madeleine, with a French indoor record.
Meilleure performance mondiale de l'année, était désormais la 9e performeuse européenne de tous les temps. On te connaît un peu, on connaît ta foulée. Je crois que le public t'a bien aidé à un moment.
Ah mais totalement. Je vous ai entendu tout le long. Encore plus quand j'ai commencé à passer la Kenyane. Là, je me suis dit, ah ouais, ils sont chauds. Et non, il me reste, parce qu'il me restait encore, je crois, 3000 mètres pratiquement. Non, j'abuse. Ouais, bref, je sais plus. 25 tours, on se perd. Mais non, franchement, merci. Parce que tout seul, c'est impossible d'aller chercher ce genre de performance. Et là, grâce à vous, vraiment, je vous jure, peut-être vous en rendez pas compte, mais on vous entend vraiment. Et merci pour tout.
C'est aussi pour ça que tu aimes le meeting national indoor de Lyon. Vice-championne du monde de cross, désormais détentrice du record de France. Tout te sourit en 2026.
Oui, bah après, c'est que le début. Vous dites meilleure perf mondiale. Bon, on est le 24 janvier.
15-03, va falloir aller la chercher quand même.
C'est clair. Non, mais vraiment, merci pour tout. Et bah, on va dire que j'étais l'entrée de ce meeting. Et j'espère que vous êtes chaud. Parce que personnellement, je me suis régalée et il y a encore de belles choses à voir derrière. Je m'appelle pas Madeleine pour rien. J'espère que je vous ai donné appétit, donc c'est parti.
Mesdames, Messieurs, Sarah Madeleine.
So there it is. Sarah Madeleine. An outstanding performance, takes a whopping chunk off the French indoor record.